For example, in that we're going to work on the career literacy or the career awareness standards, where students are focusing on standard 1, which is communication, and on standard 2, where they're problem solving, so they're pitching their designs to their audience. We integrate both ISTE and state standards by having students synthesize information into digital multimedia presentations. So, for example, the second graders might use Seesaw to demonstrate their floor plan and their ideas for what an ideal classroom would look like. And the third graders might actually go a step further, create Google Slides, or maybe use Canva to show their to demonstrate what their floor plan looks like based on the needs of their students. The media standards under the Engage Foundation, students will show how to use new knowledge and mix it with a real world audience, making their learning visible and relevant. And so that includes read aloud, which is very important for our media literacy piece, where students can listen to books, look at role models within those books, and use some of those ideas into their projects that are upcoming. In order to maintain good quality and high quality instruction, we are using the project-based learning model from University of Pennsylvania, which really looks at 4 pillars of project-based learning. The first pillar is disciplinary. We're really looking at what does the discipline, which is the career awareness standards, that's our discipline, that's our lens that we're using. And then we're looking at what are the careers, and in that career, how does that discipline really look like? Moving on to the second pillar, we're looking at authenticity. So we're providing real world problems that mimic what the actual career would undergo. And so that also brings in the technology standards that we would be highlighting along with that. The third pillar is collaboration, which is the hallmark of our career awareness program. Our Portrait of a Learner has all of those aspects to it, where we're talking about communication, how do you work as a team, how do you divvy up responsibilities, and how do you provide a product at the end of that time. And the last one is iteration, which is the fourth pillar of project-based learning, is how do you teach students that it's not every time your first product is your best product, but that you have to keep iterating, and how do you work through that iteration process, and how do you demonstrate your learning about that career through your product. And the products can be varied. It can be an actual thing that they do, a structure that they make, or it could be as simple as a graph paper and a design on a graph paper. So we want to make sure that they have the ability to choose what kind of product works for their project member. This project is just one example of how we're making career awareness a positive, a factual, and an easy to implement place. We're aligning existing standards to real-world applications to make learning far more tangible. We want to make sure that by the time our students leave elementary school and are ready for middle school, they are ready for the next step, which is our career exploration. So thank you for your time, and I'm going to have our assistant director talk about it. Thank you.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendency, I'm going to talk to you about the support.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. I'm Patty Fernandez, Assistant Director of Curriculum Instruction. Thank you. And our support plan, so since we started 2 years ago working in this project, our goal has been to partner with the sites, with the leaders and the teachers, to make sure that we co-create what we're presenting to you now. And throughout this work, we also identify different needs for support. So we have support for teachers, but also for our administrators. And we recognize that each site has a unique need. So our plan is trying to meet the different needs for all of our 31 elementary schools. So we are providing quarterly release days. We're going to continue to do that next year, where we bring our teachers to provide professional learning, but also planning time with the coaches and all the support that they need. We want them to be successful, and that is our goal, to make sure that our support allows them to deliver instruction, implement with success. And with that in mind, we also added the one-on-one coaching assignments. So we have one coach serving 3 schools right now, because we know that once the PD is over, then the teachers go in there by themselves, right? So we want to make sure that the support is not only when they come to us, but the support also goes to them. So the coach has the role to come and meet with planning, coaching. Principals have been very generous and even given additional time for meetings, for planning, and it's, the idea is that each side has their little design team to meet the needs of their schools. Our leaders are going to share a little bit more how they're doing that. And what Deepa presented, which was the curriculum menu. So it's a starting point, but this curriculum menu also has the intention to allow for autonomy. Different sites have different needs, different realities, and maybe one idea, one context might not really be applicable to another campus. So what we say is preserve the standards that we want to address, preserve the career cluster, but then we're giving them some flexibility in which context you could do that. And also how far do you want to go into a lesson. So we went with the 2-year rotation to minimize the planning, because we recognize it's 1 or 2 people doing this for all K-6. So the 2-year rotation allows them to have more time to emphasize the planning in one project. Instead of doing 7 different things, is 4 with the different grade levels. And also we are providing, so we recognize too that with the autonomy, also we want to keep some pieces consistent. So we know that all kindergartners are for sure being exposed to certain standards, a certain career cluster. So what we did is we fully developed 4 lessons for the teachers, and those we're calling them required for the year. The teacher chooses when, if they want to do quarter 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's up to them when they see it fits better in their year. But we are fully developing, so they don't even need to think about it. They still have autonomy on some pieces, but we are modeling how this can be done. And then for our administrators, something too that we want to provide is professional development. So when teachers come after a PD, we're all speaking the same language, and also our site leaders can support their teachers. But also we have our own optional office hours that we schedule every quarter, and they are virtual. So we know that principal's time is very precious and limited. So we try to make it accessible. And this, anyone who wants to just connect and let's see how we're doing. This year, we did it with the 13 schools. Next year, because it's everybody now, then we're going to transition that to our PPLCs and be able to also provide that support to the site leaders so they can talk to each other. How are you managing this? How are you working this out? And just creating that space for collaboration. And with that, I'm going to introduce our first leader from Patterson. Our principal will share more about what they're doing.
All right, thank you, Patty. Madam President, members of the board and superintendency, I'm Sarah Stevens from Patterson, and I'm so excited to be able to go over this one slide with you because the impact this has had at Patterson has been so positive in so many ways and has been exciting for me as a principal to go through this transition. So as Jessica said, we all have a cool name for these CSL standards, and we are Empower University at Patterson to empower our students to find their strengths, to find their interests, empower the collaboration, the creativity, the design. And here's some positive things that we are seeing, and one of them starts with a standard aligned excellence. As Patty and Deepa were sharing with you, we have dove into the units and the lessons that the IRC has already created for us and have been implementing those throughout the year. It's the integration of career awareness, technology, media very similar to what a general education classroom teacher would do when they're integrating maybe a social studies standard into a piece of a reading standard, and then they apply their knowledge into a reading standard. The lessons are so fun, they're creative, the kids love them, they are well designed to include universal design for learning to reach all types of learning for all of our students. And we've been able to take these units that have already been created to extend outside of the classroom space, going to junior achievement. We're taking our kids to a field trip called BizTown, if any of you have ever heard about it, but it's, so we're so excited because we have never done that before until this opportunity arose. And so our Empower You teachers are doing those BizTown lessons, and the kids are so excited to extend their learning on a field trip. We've also been able to connect our Empower You classes to vehicle career days, where we've had many community partners come out and inspire our kids with career awareness with their vehicles and give presentations, and they are also learning about those careers with those vehicles in class. But again, the well-designed lessons that have already been prepared make it easy for our teachers. Everything is lined out with resources that are easy to get, materials that are easy to find. So it's been an exciting process. Obviously, the hands-on innovation, which you've all been hearing about several times, the collaboration, students are inventing, they're problem solving, and it's been a great transition because some students perceive that traditional library and tech space to be a little bit more passive learning. You get those older kids who want to be more active and involved with hands-on projects, the littles who thrive on creativity and innovation. They're like, yeah, Miss Stevens, this is awesome. I'm just not typing in Tech Lab anymore. I built a backpack today. So, you're hearing the excitement of not so much a more traditional library and tech setting at my school. The behavioral impact that we have seen has been so positive with students, improved classroom management with their participation rates because they're engaged. You've got your learners who like to be busybodies. We've seen a lot of interest in our male students who get that hands-on experience rather than, again, just sitting and listening to a library book, which has a lot of benefits as well. But the engagements with our littles, our older kids, and our male students, we have seen they are just all in and they love it. To my next point with the extended learning, a lot of our kids, they are choosing to bring their Empower University projects out to recess. I'll be walking out there, monitoring basketball as always, but I'm like, you guys, what are you doing? We're building our roller coaster, Miss Stevens, from our Empower You class. And so they're extending their learning and they're enjoying this design, this innovation as a thing to do at recess. And so that's something to celebrate, that our students have more things to do at recess in that collaborative, creative space. And then last, we can demonstrate success. It's a little bit harder to show parents the growth in a library class or a technology class, but when they're building projects, we can have things to display, we have things to post on social media to tell our story of these amazing projects that are being built. The parents love coming to band concerts, orchestra concerts. We've got projects displayed throughout the hallways. Our students are also cheering each other on when we do kind of tours throughout the school, and kids can see the other projects that other grade levels are doing, and they're like, oh, I can't wait to build a greenhouse next year. So it's really fostered a community of excitement with the students. I'm just very excited about it. So those are some of the positive impacts that we've had at Patterson. But I've got to say a huge thank you to Jessica and the IRC, because really the units that have been created is what we stood on this year. And it has made the transition so easy for our teachers to have everything just there for them. And they can be creative with it as well. All right, I think I probably passed my 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will have our principal from Hull.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendency, my name is Josh Cagle. I am the proud principal at Hull Elementary. And at Hull, we have a beautiful synergy of this curriculum and our space. We were fortunate enough to be in the first round of Reimagined Spaces in Chandler Unified. And we transformed our media and technology area into this beautiful, ginormous space for kids. We call it our Spark Center. Our eagle's name is Sparky, so we try to. So our SPARK stands for study, problem solve, apply, research, and question. Those are all the things that the kids do while they're in there. We don't call it library, we don't call it media, it's SPARK. In that space, it was designed, before we even knew about this, to fit this project or this curriculum. Lots of tech space, lots of open floor space, lots of storage space, and we still are able to have a library and media area so our kids still have access to the books and have access to the research. That area is where our teacher presents her lessons and things like that. There are zones within, almost like a neighborhood within our school. And another beautiful thing about that neighborhood feel is that there are windows all around, which increases the engagement across the campus because as kids are walking to and from recess, lunch, you have it. They can look inside and see the kids creating and building, and they want to do like Sarah was mentioning, I want to do a roller coaster. That's the big one. It is definitely a resource for all grade levels to come in and utilize. Combined with our Spark teacher, she does a whole class group activities. We also offer, what did I say? I forgot the word, interventions. We offer interventions in there. Our specialist teachers provide interventions. And really, it is a multifunctional space, and we take all of the things that we talk about with these careers, with these specialties, and we build on it, and we have the space to perform on it. And so we make everything from public theaters, online Tinkercad, and the quote down there, the learners to creators is what we're really looking for our kids. So we provide the space, we provide the organization, and they can learn about the career, learn about the space, and then create amazing things. And I did provide a picture here of our space. Some of you were there when we opened last October. You're welcome to come back April 23rd for Business Day. Feel free. So if you're standing in the center of our space looking to the left, that's our media center. So you can see the books are still there. We have lots of space for kids to meet, collaborate, play, build, and present. And then on the right side is the more building makerspace type area with functional modular tables, a place for robotics. We have higher tables with the power tools, all those neat, fun things that kids like to do and fit perfectly with this multimedia career awareness position. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cagle.
And now we will have our principal from Anderson Elementary.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Mr. Narducci. I'm Kristen Kinghorn, and I'm the proud principal at Anderson Elementary. And I know I've seen some of you recently in the past week, so welcome. Good to see you again. Tonight, I am joined by some of my amazing Anderson astronaut students, and together we get the pleasure of speaking about guest speakers and the alignment to careers. So guest speakers and partnerships play a huge role in the success of our Action Lab. So we are the Action Lab, little different names everywhere you go. Not only does it help get the word out to stakeholders in Arizona and beyond about the innovation that's happening right in our Chandler schools, but these experiences allow our students to make real-world connections to careers that they can study and pursue in the future. This year, our fifth graders took a field trip to Thunderbird School of Global Management, where the students from the school and members from the Arizona District Export Council collaborated with our fifth grade students to connect their exhibition topics to careers, identify skills used in those careers, and global impacts those careers may have. And if you want to save the date, May 8th will be our IB Exhibition Day, where you'll see all of those all those projects on display. Currently, our first grade students are in their Who We Are unit, which is an inquiry into skills people need to do different jobs and how jobs help our community work. Students hear straight from hands-on experts in their field. They're able to get their questions asked, and they connect with the community members to explore various jobs that interest them. So I could go on and on about all that we're doing to utilize partnerships to make connections to career awareness, but I think it's best that you hear from the students who are directly impacted themselves. So it's my pleasure to bring up James Johansson, Danny Losada, George Adsatz, and Mason Schaffer, current 4th and 5th grade students. James.
Good evening, members of the school board and Madam President. My name is James, and I'm a 5th grade student at Anderson Elementary, and I'm very interested in engineering. In fact, I chose to do my exhibition project on it. I did a lot of research on my own, but I also had an amazing opportunity to learn by interviewing real experts in the aerospace field. My teachers helped set up a video conference with engineers from Moog, Blue Origin, and Honeywell, including people from both Phoenix and Mexico. We also invited other interested 4th and 5th graders to join us. Before the meeting, I was in charge of creating the agenda. I had to think about the timing, who would be attending, and the goal of the meeting. I also collected and organized questions from my classmates. During the meeting, I was the one who led it. The adults stood on the sidelines while I practiced communicating in a professional setting. It was exciting because I got to interview people who have the job I want when I grow up. Listening to them helped me learn more about engineering and inspired my thinking. It also helped me understand the real world skills I need, like planning, communication, and leadership. It inspired the essay I wrote about engineering.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Danny. I'm a 5th grader in Anderson Elementary. I'm a multi-language learner. I'm proud to speak 2 languages. I also was part of the interview, the engineering. One question I asked, what are the skills you need to be in engineering? I want the engineers needed to be strong solvers problem, great curator thinkers, and good at work with a team. I also asked how they make an impact in the world. They shared that they make air travel safer and which helps people all over the world. Something else I thought really interesting is that 2 speakers from Honeywell, but one is in Phoenix and one was in Mexico. They show me that they are global citizens. They have open-minded respect to each other and listen to different ideas. They also are data communicators. One of the engineers told us that he speaks both English and Spanish every day depending who he talks to. That made me think about myself. I'm also a data communicator and made me will use both of my language in my future too. This experience showed me that what we're learning now is connected to our real jobs and real life. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
I am witness to your adaptive communication at the A+ celebration at Anderson. Danny very confidently said yes on the spot to a Spanish interview from the media that was present. And that was so impressive to me. So great job.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is George, and I'm a 5th grader at Anderson Elementary. Before starting one of my Action Lab projects, we had the opportunity to hear from guest speakers who work as shoe designers for Boa Fit and UGG. It was exciting to hear from them because it was nice to see cool people in my job who were making the world better. After hearing from them, I was inspired to create my own shoe and Action Lab. One important part of the project was showing empathy. We had to design a shoe for someone else and think about what they needed. I decided to design a shoe for my sister because she needs comfortable shoes. This helped me really think about how my design could solve a real problem. After that, I had to plan my design, gather materials, and build a prototype of my shoe. I also created a commercial to advertise it. During this project, I used many different skills. I used research skills because in my classroom, I learned about force, motion, and friction in science. And I applied that to my shoe design. I also used self-management skills. I had to manage my time and materials, and I even changed my design a few times when I realized I could make it better. I used both critical and creative thinking. I used critical thinking when I chose different parts of the shoe for me, when I designed how the shoe looked, including the colors and style. I also used communication skills. I wrote out a plan to organize my ideas, and I used persuasive communication when I created my commercial to convince others to buy my shoe. This project showed me how what we learn in school connects to real careers and real world skills. It made me feel proud of what I created and excited about what I can do in the future. Thank you for listening and for supporting learning like this at our school.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Mason Shafrick, and I'm a fourth grade student at Anderson. I am here to share how we learn about exploration in our classrooms and in the action lab through guest speakers and design. In class, we studied exploration and history. We learned that long ago, people explored new lands for reasons like finding resources, making money, and gaining freedom. I think learning about exploration is important because it helps us understand our past and how our world became what it is today. Through Chandler Unified School District, we also had the opportunity to go to the Chandler Center for the Arts and hear from NASA engineer. This connected really well to what we were learning because he represents the present and future of exploration by exploring Mars. Even though his career is not my personal career choice, I still find it very interesting and inspiring. After that experience, we worked on an action lab project where we designed our own Mars rovers. During this project, I had to problem solve and take risks to come up with new ideas. I also had to plan carefully and create a budget. If we ran out of money in our planning, then we could not buy any more building materials for the project. I also built a prototype of my design, which was my favorite part. This project helped me develop important skills. I used self-management skills to manage my time, money, resources, and tool safety. I also used thinking skills like problem solving and creativity. I practiced my written communication skills by planning and organizing my ideas. Thank you for all supporting my learning opportunities like this. They help students like me grow and try new things. Speaking of trying new things, I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous in speaking in front of you today. But I'm proud of myself for stepping outside of my comfort zone, and who knows, maybe I could even add this on my resume someday. Thank you for your time.
Fantastic, and thank you, Kristen Kinghorn, principal of Anderson. That was amazing. I really appreciate all four of you being here tonight and sharing your experience in the Action Lab. Next, I want to bring up a couple of our business partners. First, I'm going to start with Matt Lyons. Mr. Matt Lyons is from McCarthy because in this space of career awareness, connecting with partners is very important. So Mr. Matt Lyons is going to speak a little bit about our partnership with McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, superintendency. I'll admit I'm a little nervous talking too. I don't know whose idea it was to have us follow them. That's a really tough act to follow. My name is Matt Lyons. I am our business unit leader for education for McCarthy Building Companies. Our business relationship with CUSD is really to be your builder of choice, but we're also proud community members and also really big advocates of all the work that you're doing in developing new pathways for these students. Down the street here in Chandler, we have our workforce training center, and that's where we train all of the craft workers that we employ on a day-to-day basis. Right now, we employ about 850 full-time craft that do various things from electrical to concrete to building information systems, some modeling, things like that. But it's really cool just to kind of see how all the work that's getting done here transfers into the work that's being done out there. Being an employer of so many craft professionals and then also a builder in the community, we have a strong sense for the work that's taking place in the community, but also what's coming. And so as we looked at, one of the questions that we were asked of today is, how can you help the district? What are some of the relationships that exist that we can leverage to help move your pathways forward? And that's one of the things I think about is just being in the community, understanding the work that's taking place, being able to see what's out in front of us can really help identify the programs that you want to instill within your schools, maybe what some of that tooling looks like, what some of those pieces of equipment look like, and how we can help identify those opportunities. We do all of that just recognizing that the passion that our people build with, that we get to train and teach on a day-to-day basis, that passion starts with what we are seeing here today. And I think it's so cool to just see it on display, because the earlier we can engage our students in the things and identifying the things that they love to do every day, that absolutely transfers into the work that they get to perform for us later on in their careers. And so one of the ways that we can help is we do a lot of things around career fairs. It's really about identifying what that student's passion is. How do we speak to what makes sense to them? We do a lot of things around career fairs, but we also do a lot of things around construction clubs. A lot of our superintendents love to participate in construction clubs after school with students to identify, it's just building general things. We'll build a birdhouse or a toolbox, things like that. And just being a community member and being involved in the community that we get to, fortunately enough, to build in is really important to us. We're also really involved in ACE mentorship. That again is the ability to engage with our students and help them identify what type of career they might be interested in further down the road. And then as they start to get further into their career, into high school and things like that, we do a lot of internships with students and helping them identify what their post-secondary career education might look like. In a lot of cases, it doesn't necessarily need to be, a college path, but a lot of the CTE programs guiding them into the trades that they develop that passion for. So just want to thank you for your time. I want to encourage the board to leverage us to the degree you feel is necessary, because we're really passionate and excited about all the programs that you're standing up within your district. So thank you.
And our next partner, and it's actually her anniversary tonight, so thank you for coming, is Ms. Angela Creedon from Intel.
Just sharing a little love tonight, I guess. Madam President, school board members, Superintendent Narducci, thank you so much for inviting Intel to be here tonight. This is a long-standing partnership. We've got over 45 years in Chandler. We grew from farmland, and here we are today. So we've seen some ups and downs, but if things have grown, and we've developed quite a bit over the years. But it was a few months ago, and I want to say it's probably 9 months ago, that I sat down with Dr. Edgar and the superintendent, and we discussed our relationship. We wanted to take it just a little bit further than where it was today. We want to look at it a little bit more holistically. How do we develop the workforce of the future, knowing what we're facing? We've got AI, we have a changed advanced manufacturing approach. How can we look at this and how can we grow and develop together? So we have all of these different programs that we're supporting, but we wanted to pull it together and make sure that it was going to be a fit for the students of the future. We saw the talent here today. That's incredible. And thank you for your shout out to BizTown. We also support BizTown. But that was actually what the approach was going to be. We wanted to develop that together. And it wasn't about, how much funding can you provide? What can you do here? What can you do there? How can we do it together? And that is the secret of success in Chandler. It's because we're doing it together. So we have the opportunity now to work on career literacy, career awareness. I guess I'll have to pick up the new language there. And when we had the opportunity through our semiconductor education pathway program, we jumped on it. We wanted to bring the experience of being in a fab into the classroom. So we have VR headsets that are being funded through the Intel project, so we can give them that clean room experience without actually having to go into a clean room. Lots of opportunities to get that experiential learning, and that's really what it's about. We need them to see that advanced manufacturing isn't the manufacturing of the past. It is something unique and different today. And so as we grow, as we develop as a community, I really am very, very grateful for this partnership because it's grown so much more even just over the last few months. And so we're very proud to be a participant with the school district. Thank you for the opportunity. I just shared with her she'd like to go start her anniversary. She didn't work out, she'd like to, but she's staying, it looks like. So I want to just conclude before we get to our last slide, which is questions, and we are running a little bit late here. But I just want to conclude by saying this has been a long process, a good process. Many people have sat at the table and collaborated to get to the space that we're at, whether it's principals, it's teachers, it's our business partners, and now our students, which is fantastic. So the idea, the designs, the iterations that we have, the empathy that we're looking at from our portrait of a learner, but what this brings to the table is an avenue to make sure that we are really hitting those skills that will transfer to any job, any communication piece, whatever that our students decide to do as they grow up and live out their dreams. So I do want to say thank you to our strong leaders that are here, our site leaders. Teachers aren't here. If you are a teacher, though, you can raise your hand. Okay, we don't have any right now, but I'll tell you what, those teachers work really, really hard, and we have some very committed teachers. And then I also just want to say thank you to our partners as well. Most importantly, thank you to our astronauts that came here today, because you are the future, and you are going to be able to put this on your resume, my friend, because you did a fabulous job. All four of you did. So with that being said, I just would like to move to questions. And so, President Serrano.
This was phenomenal. I too want to thank our A+ Anderson astronauts that are here with us tonight. We had James, who I think might have had to exit on a school night, understandable. But Danny, of course, George, and Mason, thanks for being with us tonight. You each did such a good job. And I do want to ask, do you have your parents or any family members here? If they could raise their hands. Anybody here? All right, well, shout out to the parents as well. And thank you for being here with us tonight on a school night. I know that's not always easy. Of course, testimonies, right? Ms. Stevens, Mr. Cagle, Ms. Kinghorn, thank you for your work and commitment to these projects and being the examples, right? You guys are the beta testers, I guess, and show that it works. So we're short on time. I do want to address just one question I had, and then we can communicate later, Dr. Edgar, with the department, if that's okay, on ensuing questions. But I love the idea of the flexibility and the autonomy that exists within the curriculum and the menu. I just wonder if that, maybe not purposely, but if it could create some type of inequities related to funding and accessibility of projects that, school sites might want to do. And that's just a little bit of a concern that I have. We have our dreams and wish lists, and I'm just wondering, when projects are selected and there's funding that's needed to make them happen, what does that look like, since each school site, has their autonomy on that?
So with the map that was shown, there are certain projects that are what we call specific, what would you call it? Required, I was going to have a more like special name, but required projects for the grade bands, and those are going to be supported by the district as far as the resources and the support, like that space. I will say though, in our at our sites, it has started with those foundational curriculum components. And then as they move forward, it's like, oh, we can do this and we can do this, which is a little bit different. But should there be a concern from a site that they don't have the funding for what they might want to do, they will partner with curriculum instruction and teaching and learning, and we can help make some of those connections for them and look at the funding component.
Okay, and I think we all heard, some concerns that exist from schools that aren't there yet, and just ensuring that we are being transparent, communicative, and just, now that contracts are out, right, letting those positions know what to expect.
Absolutely. So we did have a PD plan for April 1st, and we had several principal requests saying, please don't pull our media tech teachers. We need them for state testing. And we said, absolutely not. So we did push that back. So that was a PD that was planned that didn't go at that time, but it will be in May, early May. And so it's really fantastic that we have our school sites that have done the interviews, and individuals that want to be in that media tech position are there and ready to learn when we have that PD, and making sure that we also provide that support with the coaches that are assigned as we move forward. So it's not a one and done PD. We plan on having quarterly PDs the following year and direct support from our coaches as we move forward, because we want this to be successful for our students, as I'm sure you do as well.
Great, thank you. And any quick questions, Mr. Roars?
Yeah, one thing, that the career literacy standards been renamed the career awareness standards. Was there any major technical change or textual change in there, or you just changed the title?
Actually, there was a change in title, and Patty Fernandez, as well as one of our CTE coaches, Lisa Weisenflu, were actually at the table at ADE making some of those shifts and changes. And so if you would like to come to speak a little bit about that, that'd be great.
We were invited to be part of a committee that revised the original standards. The first standards were released in 2019, and then 2024 is when the revisions started, so they were published early last year. And the name was shifted from career literacy to career awareness, and also the grade bands. It had a different breakdown. Like, for example, they had K2 standards, and then 2-4 standards, and then there was a lot of overlapping. So then they changed it to K5, 6-8, and then 9-12 now to be more consistent.
All right, the only other thing is the internships are absolutely key. All these discussions are going on about internships for kids. That's what keeps them engaged. I want to encourage you as much as possible just to get them in the building, even if they're sharpening pencils or carrying papers, just so we can see how the operation works. I think that's how you get them engaged. That's fantastic. So thank you.
And we'll wrap up with a question from Mr. Heap here.
Thank you, Madam President. So for it was Principal Patterson. I haven't memorized names. I would, Sarah. Yes. On your slide, you talked about positive behavioral impact, and I'm a firm believer that when we get kids aligned with something that they're passionate about, that it has, positive ramifications for them in terms of just focus with their schoolwork and whatnot. I was curious on the statement, was there something specific that you did to measure that behavioral impact? For instance, were there students that teachers had maybe some difficulties with challenging behaviors that they specifically reported fewer incidents after instituting the program?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Some of our students who typically struggle in high sensory environments, sometimes recess, PE, music, sometimes students who struggle when they're not engaged enough, they're bored, behaviors start poking their partners, start messing with things. We don't have to be called to those classrooms during Empower You time. For those students who might typically show those behaviors in other areas. It's kind of a perfect blend of both. It's not a completely high sensory environment because there's lots of calm collaboration, discussion, teamwork, team building going on. And then you don't have the behaviors because they're not bored. And so it's been an observational type of data collection of, oh my goodness, I never have to be radioed down to Empower You for any of these kids. Like I would have to go pull them out of library maybe, or they were having struggles in computer lab because they were bored and so it's more of the observational data that we've seen. Just having conversations with kids. I eat lunch with our students a lot. We always talk about their favorite part of the day. Elementary kids, a lot of time it's PE, music, recess time, and now they're like, oh, it's Empower University is their favorite part of their day. And so, we see those positive behaviors in that class as well. And it's just not PE that's the best part of the day anymore. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry, sometimes I wish I had telepathy. Well, thank you so much. I want to acknowledge the time. I also want to acknowledge everybody, especially for the kiddos We had family members watching from home. Our live stream is not working tonight, but the recording will be up, so please share and brag all about your kids. You'll see yourselves on YouTube. And with that, I do want to take an executive decision of, with our next presentation, I just let Dr. Brenner know, please complete your presentation as planned. We will have to start our regular board meeting a little late, but we're not live tonight, so I think it's okay. All right? Thank you so much, Dr. Egbert, and thanks again, everybody who participated tonight.
You did great.
Oh, thank you. It was really nice to meet you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Welcome to my house conferencing. Special participant code, then press tab.
Nice job, Patty. Yes.
Thank you.
Very
We're
good.
very proud of
Yes, good job.
There's been a lot of iterations of it, but
Yes.
I think we're finally in this amazing look at the kids.
Power.
Yes.
Good shot.
It's streaming to the districts, right, not the governing board? Yeah. So everyone's used to going to the governing board.
Oh, that's right.
And that information that we were streaming took around that. It's not what I got here, right?
Team collaborate cross-departmental. So a little historical context. Why did we start having the conversations to review what we're offering? Because we do offer robust programs throughout the district, pre-K through 12. We were starting to notice that our enrollments were decreasing in some of our programs, given what we were able to fill capacity-wise and what we had identified as a need academically. There were some inequitable costs between our programs. We were also seeing some increased competition being offered near us, and that our students were taking advantage of it. We also, as we started talking, we have a lot of options within our district, and not even our own staff were aware of what we had. So there were inconsistency there. We identified some scheduling and flexibility. Some of our costs were prohibitive. There was some concern raised about engagement and whether or not the programming we were offering, while robust, was meeting our students, our community needs. So from that, we started just asking more questions. And in asking questions, to give you kind of an example, this is a chart, this graphic shows what we were offering from last summer. And so this is a high school example. We offer a few different things. We do in-person credit recovery, we were doing Chandler online options, and we were doing what's called Lift Lab in each of our high schools. And if you take a peek at this chart, you'll see some of the kind of concerns we identified from the prior slide. There were inconsistent fees ranging from $80 to $225, depending on what platform and where you were taking advantage of our summer programming. Even the payment and registration platforms were different by each type of offering. Some were a little more cumbersome to navigate than others, so we had parents or families that were frustrated with that. We believe some of that is what led to low enrollment, which meant then we were having to cancel some of our programs or offerings or reduce them. Some of the scheduling concerns, an example being we noticed that in our in-person credit recovery program, if a student had failed, for example, Algebra 1, they were taking semester 1 of Algebra 1 in the morning and semester 2 in the afternoon, but they were running concurrently. So they didn't have prerequisite skills to be successful in the afternoon because they needed their morning instruction.
So that was another problem we identified. Our high schools weren't all unified in what they were doing or how they were offering it. Each counselors were trying to explain to parents, but one counselor would know some options, another would know other options. So it became evident we need to bring a bunch of people together to start evaluating what we're doing and how can we clarify and improve. This is data from last summer, just to give you a little what we did last year. In Lift Lab last year, it was offered at most of our high school campuses. We had 38 unique courses across our sites with 152 students participating, and they had an 86% successful completion rate. Some of our students took the same Lift Lab class more than once last summer because they weren't successful the first time they took it, so they took it again. Then we were offering in-person summer school. It was at Chandler High School. There we had 270 courses attempted, 262 were completed successfully, so we had a 97% success rate. Junior high, we had 75 attempted and 73 completed, also 97% success rate. And the credits earned were 131 out of 135. The in-person summer school primarily is a credit recovery program. It's not an acceleration program at all when we offer that. We were also serving students that had IEPs, 504s, that are current or former EL students, so a pretty diverse group of kids coming from around the district to that in-person program. Then in our Chandler online program for summer 2025, they offered 44 different courses, serving 3,835 students with a 93% pass rate. Something important to note here is that this past summer, Lift Lab is far more credit recovery. In-person is far more credit recovery, but COA was offering advancement and credit recovery. A little bit more flexible because they can do it online. They come in person for Lift Lab and COA to do their final test. That's their in-person component. Some of the other trends with our junior high and high school that came out were the number of students that were taking courses from external providers, so our competitors, right? And so we were seeing those credits being transferred in, we started asking questions. Why are they going somewhere else to take classes that we offer? And some of the things that came up were cost, flexibility. They were offering classes that we weren't offering. I shouldn't say that. Health is a big one that they go outside of the district for. So they were taking health, and then we were noticing that when they were doing that and it was transferring in, sometimes they didn't take the right class. And so they took an incorrect health class, wanted to transfer it in, and so then we had to create a challenge test for that student to take the challenge test to see if they could get our credit. So there were just some inconsistencies. So based on that, we looked at priorities. What's being taken outside of the district? How can we try to meet that need? And as you can see here, that we have a high demand for PE and health, partly because it is a half credit, and they want to get that completed and out of their coursework to open up their schedules going forward, because that half credit sometimes messes with it. Social studies, math, and science were consistent areas of credit recovery that they're going for. And we think that those outside enrollments were reflecting really a need for the semester-based structure versus that concurrent enrollment, greater flexibility in their online delivery. We did meet with registrars at the high schools to get their feedback on how this was impacting them, and asking them, I want to say on average, they were telling us, or self-reporting, right, so it's informal, that they were spending upwards of 50 hours at the start of the school year just entering transfer credits. So besides sharing ADM with kids going outside of the district for courses, and a very small piece of that, right, we were also taking manpower for that challenge test, scoring the challenge test, entering into transcripts and getting those credits in. So it became evident that we need to do a better job meeting our needs to keep the kids here with us. In the elementary side, I'm only addressing the Title I component. In elementary, we have a community ed programming, and then we have our Title I in-person enrichment intervention and destination college. So when we're speaking here tonight, we're not talking about the community ed piece, just so you know that. Elementary Title I, in the past, we planned for 2 campuses, 2 sections at each grade level, so about 160 student capacity at each site. This past summer, we planned for that, weren't getting the registration, so we dropped it down to 1 campus, 2 sections per grade level, 160 capacity. You can see here on the left of the slide that we actually enrolled, we had and we had 160 when you combine K-6 and kindergarten, I should clarify that. So K-6, we had a capacity of 140, we enrolled 106. 91 actually attended. So not quite meeting the need. If we were meeting the need, they would come. If you build it, they'll come. Kinderbound, that's our incoming preschoolers, incoming kindergartners that didn't have an opportunity. We're trying to target those who didn't have an opportunity to attend one of our preschool programs. We had capacity for 13, capacity for 20, we enrolled 13 and 7 attended. And even then, they weren't attending, as you can see by this average attendance and median attendance, that they weren't attending consistently. So again, we went, why not? This is a free program to students who live in our Title I bounds. They're invited based on data. Why can't we get them there? So these are the questions we started asking. We had quite a committee. We had business department, community ed, teaching and learning, site administrators, counseling, special ed staff, where we came around and started saying, what is the cause of this? Isolating the secondary component, the elementary component, what's causing some of the challenges that we're seeing? So we were tasked as a committee to kind of evaluate it, and actually at the offset, or when we started it, was to innovate it. Well, it became pretty clear that at the secondary level, we needed to kind of stand up straight and get things aligned first before we could look at innovating. And at the elementary, it was a little easier because I have direct access and work very closely with those Title I principals, and they were providing a lot of feedback along. And having been a Title I principal, we were able to very easily say, hey, these are the things that we don't think are working. And so you'll see when we get going here that there's a little more innovation on the elementary side, a little course correction on the secondary before we can start innovating. This slide, and I know it's small, you have it in your packet, it's really just to try to understand, in working with the business office, it became evident as well that we have all these different titles for what we offer in the summer. And so from even a marketing standpoint, we would say you have community and enrichment, you have Title I intervention, you have summer, Lift Lab or COA. So the discussion became, how do we create something we can market, but then also we can track expenses by program to see what's coming in, what's going out. So the proposal there, or the concept became calling it Summer Academy overall. And then we have Summer Academy Enrichment through Community Ed. We have Summer Academy Enrichment, Title I. And under that, even further, we have our program this coming summer will be at Conley, and then we also have Destination College. Our Summer Academy Intervention, what does that look like in elementary, secondary, just to kind of show you that chart. This is just more of an organizational of how it's breaking down. Patty and Renee will share with you more of the details in the proposal for this upcoming year. My piece, I was tasked with bringing that group together and getting the feedback, far more logistics, idea, getting things together, and then they have the opportunity to execute it as a good collaboration across our departments. So I'm going to turn over to Patty.
Madam President, members of the board, my name is Patty Fernandez, Assistant Director of Curriculum Instruction, and I have the pleasure to work with different departments because this has been a collaborative effort to make sure that our summer learning experience is productive for our students, but also brings them opportunities that they may not have throughout the year. So with that, I'm going to present on our first program, which is our elementary summer academy, the recovery part for K-6. And this summer, we're going to have it at Conley Elementary. And through the funding of Title I, we are able to provide everything for free. And part of the pieces that we are keeping is our free breakfast, free lunch. The recovery now, we used to do half a day, and now we are able to extend those hours. From 8 to 2:30, now students will continue to receive math, reading, and science. That has been in place, but it was a shorter time because of the half day. And now the new piece we're adding, that is the innovative part, is instead of having kids travel outside of their current recovery site to other sites to receive some enrichment, we're bringing the enrichment to them, because also before parents had to pay if they wanted anything, any classes that were through community ed. So now through Title I funding, we're able to bring the enrichment to them for free. And they have, out of the 4 classes, they have 2 choices. And so that's from 2:30 to 5. We have a fabulous team of coordinators who are really working hard to make all these new pieces work, hire the teachers. We're trying to hire as many teachers as we can because we received, so remember those numbers that Dr. Brenner shared? So now we received 416 requests, and we have been able to hire enough teachers to enroll 320 students now. So we still have 96 students on the wait list. We're hoping to hire more teachers, so then our goal is to accommodate all 416 students. Yes. And one more piece that we're very excited about this is bringing library collections for the students to take home. And Dr. Brenner has been working really hard in getting funding for that as well, with a parent engagement guide. How can students not only be exposed to it in our summer program, but take it with them home? We have a team of coaches from our curriculum department too that are working in making sure all these classes have the curriculum, the scope and sequence, everything. They have been revising, making sure that it's meeting the needs of our students. Now, before, it was only open for students that maybe were at risk. Now, we open this program to all students who are attending any of our schools receiving Title I funding. So that's another piece that changed. And so the best part is we want to give a field trip experience for the students. We know that's always something they look for during the school year. And summers are hot, so, and also bus transportation arrangements. So we're like, why don't we bring it to the school? So that's what we're doing this year. We're bringing that experience for the students to the site, so they still, even though it's 3 weeks, it is like a mini school year. So we're bringing all the experiences that we can, so our students continue to learn and also have fun. Then one change we made this year. So we used to use the same platform as Community Ed, Elio. Sometimes our families had many challenges. That's feedback from our families that we received in our principals as well. That sometimes when they got to the platform, it was challenging for them to register. So this year we tried to change that and used Qualtrics as our platform for registration. So it's easier for families. I won't lie to you, it is a lot of work on the back end, but we can do that. Like if it's easier for our families, and also this translates to whatever language they want to use. So that was a plus for us. And working with our research team, they're helping us, making sure that our enrollment, we're keeping up with our enrollment and making sure our students get in as soon as we have a spot. The next program that I'm going to talk about is Destination College. It's one of our very popular programs, and this program is at Chandler Community College. So we built a partnership with them where we're able to bring our 5th graders, also coming from our schools receiving Title I funding, so they can have a little bit like the career literacy the career awareness that you heard, but see, I still have to but this program brings, it's so innovative. Students are engaged in our classes, our Shark Tank, CSI Chandler, Mission to Mars, The Final Cut, and the new one in partnership with Intel. We're able to bring the AI space bootcamp. So we're working with Intel to make sure that this new class is ready for our students. Within this classes, the students are learning about business, entrepreneurship, forensic science. We have guest speakers that come in, talk to the kids. Last year, we were able to connect astronaut Mark Kelly and talk to the kids because they are taking the Mission to Mars class, so he was able to show them their spacesuit and talk about the career, how he got into the career. And it was really nice because he even talked about how he struggled when he was in elementary. So that resonated with a lot of our students, and our students were able to ask questions. So we are going to also offer a field trip, but now this group of students will go to the CGCC Williamsville campus in partnership with ASU too. Last year, they were able to offer some sessions for the kids, so it was like a mini conference. And this year, they're going to offer a tour to see the dorms, and it is a true collaboration with community partners to bring this learning experience for our students. So save the date if you are around on June 11th. We try to keep this program close to the experience they would have from the minute they apply to the very end. So they start with an application, and they have to submit references. So they need 2 adults references. And then once they get accepted, they receive a letter, a welcome to college letter. So then the kids are all like celebrating, and then through the program, CGCC does a beautiful job receiving the kids. The whole staff is outside with the pom-poms, welcoming the kids. And then the last day, we celebrate with a graduation. We invite the families. We receive, again, all free, and CEF supports us with refreshments for our families. So it is the full experience that we try to give to our students. And it's a little bit old, this video, but we wanted you to have, to kind of see a glimpse of what Destination College is.
So Destination College is a program that is offered to students that are going into the 6th grade. They get to come to Chandler Community College and participate in classes and listen to guest speakers that talk about college. And it's just a great exposure to college.
I'm a doctor's student, and it was because of my teachers who encouraged me. They said, let's do this, then you can do it.
I wanted to be a part of Destination College because I heard a few 6th graders talking about it. And after the presentation with the teachers, I thought it would be a cool idea to see what it was like. CSI is my favorite class because I can solve crime scenes and investigate, see what happens.
I taught the great outdoors, and the students got to learn a little bit about water conservation. They got to come out and study the ecosystem, birds and plants, and then they got to talk about archaeology.
The benefit of this program is that it allows students to see how attainable and how accessible college can be for them, and just in their local community. So it's not far out of reach, and we have a lot of partnerships even within district and here for our high school programs that allow for college coursework as well.
I would tell them that it's a really fun experience and they should definitely try to get in.
All right, so with that, I will hand it to Renee Sweden to speak about secondary.
Madam President, members of the board, superintendency. My name is Renee Sweden. I'm Assistant Director of Curriculum and Instruction here in Chandler Schools, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about summer school. I'd like to start off by saying that one of the biggest changes that was made was the movement from registration platforms from Elio into Qualtrics. And Ms. Fernandez mentioned it, but it really was a game changer. And so I'd just like to thank the team, especially Lauren Randall, from the business office, and Dr. Fletcher, your team, Alyssa, and Thomas from IT for getting that together for us, so thank you. All right. I'm sorry, say that again. Thank you. Oh, thank you. All right, so the first secondary summer program I'd like to talk to you about, thank you, Patty, is junior high credit recovery, and this is our in-person option. Kyle Dar, who's currently assistant principal at Hill Academy, is the coordinator. This program is located at Chandler High School, and it is required for students who did not pass English and math for the entire school year. The junior high principal and the counselor both recommend. Transportation is available. The courses offered are English 7, English 8, Math 7, Math 8, and then there is a Math 7 prep course for students who are incoming 7th graders who struggled in 6th grade math. We offer free breakfast and free lunch, and if students successfully complete the program, their fee is waived. In addition, new for 2026 is the Lit Camp idea for the English classes. Lit Camp is based in research, the science of reading research. It involves explicit instruction. It is interactive. And it is focused on structured fluency practice. When the students finish the program, they will be able to take books home with them as well. So Ms. Fernandez mentioned that for the elementary. We'll also have that for the junior high. In addition, the junior high teachers will receive training on this program. In addition to the academics, we also teach some soft skills. We teach students how to ask for help, and we teach students collaboration. We're really trying to teach them some skills that will help them be successful as they move on. We also have acceleration at the junior high. Chandler Online Academy offers junior high courses, 7th and 8th grade English, 7th and 8th grade math. Other sites also have their own individual summer programming. So ACP Middle has a summer bridge camp for math. Basha High AMS has a math boot camp, as well as a science camp. Vogel has a summer bridge math program, and Castile has an accelerated math academy. When we move on to high school and we're talking about credit recovery, we're talking about our in-person program first. And again, that is at Chandler High. We found that having both programs, the junior high and the high school, on the same campus helped minimize costs. And the program dates, the new for 2026 with the high school program is that rather than going the entire 15 days, 3 weeks, students would, in the past, in the morning take a class for 3 weeks. In the afternoon, they had an opportunity to take another class 3 weeks. In this particular model, they're going to take one class for the first 7.5 days. So session 1 is June 1st through June 10th. When you finish that class June 10th, you're finished with that course, semester 1. If you have a semester 2 course you need to take, then you're going to pick it right up and continue on. We wanted to see if that model would help with enrollment. If students perhaps had to work, this would minimize the number of days that they would be unable to work. It also, I think, because of our shorter summers with year-round, that we are making it more possible for students to have vacation with families, to have opportunities for other experiences. So, in addition, new for 2026 is if the student successfully completes the course, the tuition fee will be waived. Transportation is also available, and we offer those core classes you would expect to see, the English, math, and science classes. In addition to having that in-person, on-site program, our high schools offer summer lift labs. Summer lift labs are generally computer-based instruction. They're oftentimes a hybrid. The student comes in, works on the class, but may be able to work on the class from home. But the main thing is that they have an adult at the school who is there for help and support. Again, if the students are successful, there's no fee associated with it. This started with an effort to help seniors get to graduation, and over the last couple of years, we've asked that it be expanded to the other grade levels, and it's helped quite a few kids. So we found that some of the students, because of transportation reasons, really needed to attend the school closest to them. So, and as you can see, that regular slate of classes that you would expect. Finally, on the advancement side for high school, Janet Hartkoff is offering a semiconductor summer camp, and over the different summers, Janet has offered different types of camp. This one is a little bit unique. It is the semiconductor summer camp, and she's working with different companies to actually host it. There will be companies coming in on the last day to run stations. There will also be companies coming in to talk about jobs, future trends, and then CUSD will be in there to talk about programming and pathways. So, in addition to that, Chandler Online has advancement opportunities as well. As you can see, Chandler Online offers 2 different sessions. This year, health will be tuition free, and they have quite a lot of courses that they can offer students. So, questions?
Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate a clear debriefing and just acknowledging the deltas and room for improvement and taking action on that. That is really refreshing to hear, acknowledged, and the solutions that you brought forward. We are short on time, so I'm gonna check in with my board members. And I did want to just quickly ask, for the K through 6 academy, we have a wait list, and something that we've heard in the past, right, is the drop off when there isn't consistent communication, checking back in with those families so they don't go elsewhere with the acknowledged competition that exists. So are we really, hand-holding and making sure that we are in constant communication with those on the wait list to make sure we keep them, hopefully?
Yes, I recently sent an email update to the families, just letting them know a little bit of our timeline for hiring teachers, so they have an idea by when. So we told them by the end of April, we should be able to finalize classes. So we're keeping them, and they're emailing me directly, so I am in direct contact with families. For our kindergarten program as well, we have some recommendations, and those are sometimes even phone calls we make to make sure that, have you seen our email? Because sometimes if they're not checking their emails, they might not know. So we are making sure they know we're still working on hiring teachers to be able to open more spots. And also they can see, because this time that we're using Qualtrics, so it communicates with Infinite Campus. So students who are already enrolled, parents, we notify them too. If you want to see what is your enrollment status, go to your Infinite Campus
portal and you should be able to see there if you have been registered. If it's not showing, it's because you're still on the wait list.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fernandez. Thank you, Ms. Mustin.
Yes, I really like it that, you are refunding the money, for the students who pass the classes, that are, with credit recoveries. My question is, the logistics of that, are they, paying for it in advance and then you refund them, or will you bill them afterwards? And then how do you make sure you get that?
Good question. We worked with, Lauren Randall was a part of that committee, Director of Purchasing, right? Thank you. Business Services, sorry. And so we worked with Lauren in that, and so the plan is that they will not be assessed the fee until the end of the program. So if they're successful, it won't even be assessed, so it's not really needing to be waived. And that we'll use a spreadsheet to communicate back with her and Michelle, and they will then assign that fee. I think the concern in there is that then the responsibility or the follow through on collecting it will then somewhat fall on the sites. So that fee will remain outstanding for that student and kind of follow through with them year to year until it's collected. So they would have to leverage things like prom tickets, things like that, yearbooks, right? Our hope certainly is that parents will help us motivate students to be successful because they'll save them money too. And we're doing that by grading our federal funding sources and our instructional improvement funds. So that way we can, just so you know how we're doing that, those are the funding sources we're using.
Thank you.
And we'll look to Mr. George.
Just real quick, I noticed that these health class, which is a half credit requirement you have to take, which is a real schedule buster. It's a real problem. So I noticed that you have that online, free of charge, which is a really good idea. So thank you for that.
That was a proposal. I'll let Dr. Edgar respond if there are any questions to that, because that was on her side of taking that over from our proposal. We have a lot of kids enrolled in it already. I had the numbers that they're skyrocketing. And again, we have to remember when our kids go outside of district to get programming, we are now also giving those competitors access to our families. So then they market to them hardcore. So by keeping them with us, we're working to meet that need.
Also, I want to add to Dr. Brenner, the quality of we lose the quality of what the kids are actually getting once they go out to the competitor. That was a big thing on the table is we think we can do the quality better. And if an outside competitor can offer it free, because you're right, it's a schedule buster. Kids take it to get out of the way. And why can't we? And so that we were questioning that why can't we do that too? I'm proud of the group because they thought with some outside of the box thinking and actually are in a competitive model, which sometimes a competitive model is giving things away free.
Thank you, Superintendent Iducci. Thank you so much, Dr. Brenner. This was very comprehensive, and just for folks who may not know, health is extremely popular. It is the go-to class that we recommend to help students clear a course for their semester as an elective. So they have to take health. If they take it over summer, they can select an elective the following school year, basically, for each of those semesters, and it's really helpful to get them into a course they want to take. So that's why it's very popular, and we do encourage that to clear that space if people desire that. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Brenner and Patty Fernandez, and I have to say this, my former English teacher, Renee Sweden. I hope my language somewhat makes you proud of. Really appreciate your time tonight, and we will close. And board members, let's take a 5-minute break just because we've been here since 4, and we'll be back at it for our regular meeting. Thank you.